Oh boy, now that I'm getting through the rest of these rounds, boy, did we have one hell of a weekend. So it was awesome having everybody there. But to continue with the rounds for everybody watching on YouTube, we now have round two. It's going to be lmag versus Ooooozzi. And Ooooozzi is one heck of a competitor from Southeast Asia. Again, good to see Southeast Asian competitors with everybody else right now because of the cross-shard play. So, as always, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works. You are in the right spot for Legends of Runeterra competitive content. Without further ado, round two from the ASCENT of Targon Qualifier, lmag versus Ooooozzi.
All right, so they are getting into... Ooh, this is a spicy start off. We have Targon Lee Sin versus Trundle Tryndamere. It is War Mother's Call. Okay.
All right, it looks like it is EMAG. I'm not sure exactly who they are in Smash, but we'll see here in a second. Oh, wrong one.
Trying to find them on the deck sheet. And either they have a team name or they signed up as something else. I cannot search because there are too many players in the deck list.
Wait, let's at least... All right, I got Ooooozzi in here. I also completely butchered his name. I forget that he spells it with just a bunch of O's.
Yeah, okay, so I got Uzi's deck list up. Can't find his opponent because Control F is not working in the sheet due to the heavy traffic on the page.
I'm just gonna continue to search Smash for Ooooozzi, and then we'll see if I can find his opponent. All right, so it does look like Ooooozzi though is playing Leona Aurelian Soul. He's also playing Twisted Fate Swain, and then I imagine what we are seeing here is actually, I have no idea because the cards that are in his hand right now.
Okay, I found them because it's not EMAG, it's lmag.
Oh, this is War Mother's Call.
That is a lowercase L, not an uppercase I.
It's lmag, okay. Well, that explains a lot. You know, I hate that, by the way. Why in typing does the L and the uppercase I look exactly the same? They should not have done that. That is not good. They should put, like, the two horizontal bars on the I, you know what I mean? So that it actually looks like an I. Shame on you, whoever designed the keyboard. Shame.
So we are into it. I'm really not sure what to say about the Lee Sin deck as far as how to describe it, because I don't want to just like rattle off every card in this deck. The important one is that we are running the Zenith Blade Lee Sin combo. I think that this is why a lot of players have sort of fluctuated to Targon and Noxus as sort of the two big Lee Sin regions that we've seen come out thus far into the opening weekend. Is just the ability to give the Lee Sin Overwhelm is absolutely massive. You get sort of the double damage between the kick and then the Overwhelm. Can make for some really big plays. Not going to mean a whole lot while the Lee Sin is unleveled, and we are going to see the Vengeance come out. There is one Bastion in the deck that could be the response to that, and it looks like there is the Deny as well. There are 3 full copies of the Deny, so basically 4 spells that are going to protect the Lee Sin. And now with the barrier on top of it is just going to be able to take out this... Oh my gosh. I was going to say able to take out the Avarician Hearthguard, but I'm pretty sure you go for the Warding Stone, not only to prevent the ramp, but also because your opponent could have Vile Feast or Unspeakable Horror to pop that barrier, and you don't want your Lee Sin to go down to 1 HP this early on.
Yeah, I was super excited to see a Lee Sin deck this early in the tournament as well, and I'm hoping that this doesn't fall off later on in the tournament. I'm hoping that we're not just seeing Lee Sin because it's early on and like random people brought Lee Sin. I do want Lee Sin to see some success here. I do love the Overwhelm build, playing things like the Zenith Blade. I think that's a great card in a deck like this. So we'll see if we can get any sort of W's under our belt here as casters with the Lee Sin. We saw some on Thursday in the tournament that we casted for Southern America or Latin America, I should say. And did that win or did that lose? Didn't it? It won. Didn't it actually win?
It felt like kind of a cheese win, but it was the Kickaxe deck. Yep. The Noxus version did just get the Might down. Curious to see how it works out for lmag in this one. We are going to see, the Mentor of Stone's not going to stick around. That card is a little bit too powerful to leave around, but that is going to give 3 gems over to lmag. Going to let them turn on that Lee Sin at will for not a lot of commitment. To Ruination on the side of Ooooozzi, though, but playing into a Deny deck feels pretty sketchy.
Yeah, you know, Deny always comes in and out of existence, but I think now, especially with something like War Mothers being a thing, Deny absolutely wrecks things like the 2 Ruination and the 2 War Mother's Call that we're seeing in Ooooozzi's deck. As long as alright, is this just the way for lmag to win the game? Like, does he just hold on to Deny and just wait until War Mother's Call is played at all times?
I mean, the whole point of the deck is to pillar on this Lee Sin. I think you just deny anything that says kill Lee Sin. I think it behooves Ooooozzi to go ahead and throw out some of these unspeakable horrors to pop the barrier. Go ahead and try to, finish off the Lee Sin after the fact, because your opponent, isn't going to have the first priority sequence post-combat, isn't going to be able to use a gem right off the bat in order to heal up the Lee, and of course will not have the Zenith Blade available either. I think you might as well just throw down both copies of this unspeakable horror now.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think pillaring, if he does pillar on this Lee Sin, he might be able to take the game away pretty quickly from Ooooozzi, right? It all depends. I mean, we haven't really gotten a lot of damage through yet, and it is turn, 7. We do see the Ruination come out, so I think we do see a Deny come out here. Oh, wow, no Deny. Okay. So Ooooozzi just kind of going for it.
I like that fired off from Ooooozzi because he can just slam another one next turn if this one doesn't work out. My sort of concern with the Targon version of this deck, and we've seen more Noxus Lee Sin than we have Targon personally. I'm not sure about the actual spread on those decks, but the Targon version only has Lee Sin as a win condition. I mean, the other most expensive cards in your deck are Mentor of the Stones and Solari Priestess. So maybe you can Solari Priestess into... It'd even have to be a Traveler to find you a bigger Celestial to try and win the game off of. But the Noxus version has things like Horns of the Dragon, or really anything else as a backup win con, because you have so much Overwhelm. Any unit can suddenly turn into a win condition when you put it next to Kato the Arm. But this time around, it's only Lee Sin, and I don't think that's going to be able to get it out against War Mother's control.
Yeah, and this was actually, I think when we were discussing Lee Sin, this was the deck that I had mentioned to you as I've actually seen it a lot on ladder, and I have to agree. I do like the Kick-Axe version better. Zenith Blade is good and all, but man, yeah, Kato is just better. I think Kato is just better than Zenith Blade when all is said and done. And yeah, we're gonna see the Spell Shield popped here with the Unspeakable Horror, followed by the Vengeance to kill yet another Lee Sin. And I think that might just about do it for lmag. I mean, there is another copy of Lee Sin in the deck, but that is really hard to come back from, getting both Lee Sins killed like that.
Do you ever concede if you lose all 3 Lee Sins?
Yeah. I think, see, we've got over this. Me personally, I value my time, so yes. But like, and especially with this, like, how else do you don't actually have another win? Like, there actually is
the
no
Solari Priestess is okay. So we're just gonna see Lee Sin number 3 straight away. We still have Ruination mana, so if lmag taps out to play this one, this could just be the end of the game as the 3rd Lee Sin dies.
Wow. I guess so. Here's my problem with Solari Priestess and Spacey Sketcher. The only other way I could see a Celestial possibly winning the game for lmag is if he gets Cosmic Inspiration, and neither of those cards can pull Cosmic Inspiration.
Yeah, I feel like you have to find a Traveler off of the Solari Priestess into something a little bit bigger. Soul Sisters can get it. Why do we call it Soul Sisters?
That was you, not me. Don't look at me.
I know, but I mean, I've heard other casters say it too. I'm pretty sure there's like a Magic deck called Soul Sisters, as well as the song, but like the Golden Sister, the Silver Sister, I don't know, man. The Celestial Sisters should be what we call it, but it's default to Soul Sisters.
I'm gonna get a soundbite on my board now to like play that song Soul Sisters whenever they come out. Oh man. Nope, just Golden Sister, who then summons a Silver Sister Boulevard. Yeah, I have seen a lot of people call him that though, but we do see the Commander Ladros coming down hot here.
This is good because it demands the Lee Sin to answer it. I actually want to check how many fearsome blockers are in the deck other than Lee Sin. I think it's just Claws of the Dragon. That is the case. Okay, so we're going to see Guiding Touch. That is going to put him just outside of range. And now Concussive Palm onto the Ladros. So, still a really powerful turn from Ooooozzi. Really not a lot of follow-up by lmag. Is going to get a bit of lifesteal off next turn thanks to these 2 Dragonlings he's going to get due to the Concussive Palm and the Guiding Touch. So, wow. A little bit of a life swing, but I don't know if you can outlast the Ladros.
Yeah, and now, so we haven't seen any denies come out from lmag, and we do see...
We've seen one.
Oh, we did see... Oh, that's right, we did see one. And there's only... How many is lmag playing?
3.
Okay, there is 3. So there's going to be 2 left, and there is already a Vengeance and a Ruination in hand. So even if lmag draws Lee Sin, we already are going to need more denies, probably both immediately, because it's just going to be a back-to-back Vengeance and Ruination on whatever Lee Sin hits the board. So, it feels really bad.
Why are we... What the... I don't know why we blocked the Dragon instead of the unit that's dealing 2 damage to us, just because we're at turn 10. We don't need this wording stone for anything.
Oh, the eye.
Oh, this is going to be devastating when we see the second Withering Whale come out.
We'll see in a second how everything resolves. Yep. And going to kill one of these dragonlings, it looks like. Preventing basically all the lifesteal. Still pretty low, though. I mean, lmag being at 12 after everything is said and done.
So not wanting to commit the second whale, actually.
Yeah. Crescent Guardian now coming down, too, is kind of a random card gotten with Unspeakable Horror there. See the Mentor of Stones coming down from lmag. So, again, this just seems like an uphill battle for lmag. We need Lee Sin and 2 Deny. And even then, it's going to be rough. We even see the Atrocity now from Ooooozzi. So even the Atrocity can be used to target the Lee Sin. And we can see all the other cards on lmag's board. These cards are not winning him the game. Like, they're just a bunch of small little rinky-dinky tokens that are barely even going to get an attack through. And even if they do, well, it's like 1 or 2 damage. So not doing too much.
All right, so we've seen all 3 copies of Deep Meditation fired off at this point. It's pretty likely that lmag has found the other Deny. But, I mean, with Atrocity and Vengeance in hand, Ooooozzi can get around that and still kill the Lee Sin, sort of depending on how many spells can come out, because I don't think Lee gets the ability as soon as the card goes on the stack. I think he has to wait for it to resolve, so I don't know that lmag's going to be able to play Lee Sin, Deny, and then 2 other spells in the turn to give him Barrier to prevent the Atrocity. But I think that Ooooozzi just goes for the Atrocity kill first before the Vengeance. It kind of depends. I mean, you could also just use... Well, he's not going to have the Unspeakable Horror mana after the fact in order to pop the Barrier, so we will have to see how this one plays out, but I still have to think that Ooooozzi is going to be heavily favored
here. Okay, wow. I didn't even realize this. There is 3 Behold the Infinite in the deck. So when you had made that comment on like Solari Priestess or Celestial, and we were talking about bigger Celestial cards, Behold the Infinite could actually just discover him a Celestial card that will actually do the job for him. I don't know if I like that being a 3 of in this deck, to be honest with you.
I do, because I don't think Lee Sin is strong enough as a sole win con. I think you do need some other kind of Celestial generation. I don't know. I mean, Behold the Infinite is the cheapest way to do it, and it also synergizes with the Lee Sin. As much as I would like to see, I don't even know the name of the card, the 5-mana guy that just invokes.
Oh, Jesus.
I thought I had all the relevant card names down, and I do, but when I'm trying to make a
irrelevant.
point on a bad card, I guess I need to know its name.
All right, who are you kidding?
I know what it looks
Sometimes
like.
there's bad cards from the base set that we can't even think of the name.
Moondreamer.
There we go. Yep. Yeah, and
but yeah, well,
I get the synergy between it and Lee Sin, like that's all well and good, but you're still kind of betting on getting what you need and like betting on that one Celestial that you grab doing the job for you. I still just think Kickaxe is just a way better version of this deck.
It probably is, but I mean, when we were talking earlier about Luxacial and how few Targon decks there are, Noxus is sort of a power region right now. Do you really want to give up Swain Twisted Fate or Pirate aggro in order to play a Lee Sin deck?
Yeah, that is a good point. And when you are looking to build your tournament lineup, you've got to consider what regions are you going to have to, toss if you're, opting to add them into one particular deck. And, it's weird.
And this is just another point for region lock, because, I don't think there's a lot of Noxus overlap between Kickaxe and literally any other Noxus decks. So, no one else is really playing that Overwhelm package. So, I know DOR is looking to spice up the format after the Invitational, but, I'm just saying, region lock's something to keep in mind.
Cough. Yeah. So, I'm right there with you, man. I do like card lock. I don't know. I like all the formats. It's good to change it up sometimes, but it's confusing keeping track of all of them from time to time. I don't know. We'll see. This deck, it's holding its own right now, but obviously as Ooooozzi continues throughout the game, his deck is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. We see the Trundle now being able to get leveled up, providing that overwhelm damage that he's going to need to win. Not to mention, Atrocity, just kind of chilling in his hand. So,
yeah. So importantly, Uzi's Ladros has been permanently silenced by Equinox. That was discovered off of a Spacey Sketcher.
Well, that's good. That's one of the top best followers that you probably want to silence with that card. Again, my disappointment whenever I see it, that it does not silence a champion every single time. Similar to not remembering Daybreak, I never remember that card only targets followers. So, something to keep in mind.
I was screwing around with a sort of a homebrew, as I don't usually do, but I was screwing around with a homebrew earlier this weekend. I was playing Whimsy, and every time I was like, "This is a choice Whimsy," it was a champion, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, "This is why nobody plays this card." I'm just staring at all these champions, like I really didn't think they were that prevalent, but
I've
here we
literally
are.
made the same mistake. I'm like, this card is going to be great in this deck. Psych. Nope.
So this is scary for me for lmag. He's held on to this Lee Sin for so long, has the Zenith Blade combo. Playing it on Oooozzzi's turn sort of gives him, 23 mana to try and kill the Lee Sin with. He gets to play removal spells on his turn, then try again on your turn in combat, which is why I like the Ruination coming out first. Gonna go ahead and Moonglow to actually build up the spell shield, so lmag was looking to get as much protection as possible, but I don't know that it's gonna be enough. You kind of now need that last deny in order to stop this vengeance, and maybe you thought a deny and a Moonglow would be enough, and surely it almost had to be, right? But no.
And okay, so really unfortunately for lmag, the Atrocity is still going to be able to kill the Lee Sin. Like, it's so close. Like, if he has another buff plus a deny, he could actually... So this might be enough to get this attack through.
Oh, I don't like the Atrocity here. I really want to see Vengeance instead. The only thing that your opponent has left is the last copy of Deny, and if they draw Bastion and all 3 Deny, even though they got off all 3 Deep Meds, I mean, that's another thing. They drew all 3 Deep Meds. If your opponent gets that much down, maybe that is just the game, but Zenith Blade isn't even lethal here because you do still have the Grasp of the Undying available. And this Atrocity scares me. I really don't know why we're throwing Trundle away instead of something like Ladros. I mean, the Ladros isn't recurring. I think I'd rather keep my 9/8 regen Overwhelm. There is Deny number 3. Ooooozzi not going to quite be out of this one yet. Does have the Grasp to hang on, but is going to be in a really rough spot.
Wow. So, yeah, this is exactly what I was just mentioning. If he does have this buff here, now with Atrocity left, the Atrocity actually does not kill it on its own. Because these 9 attack units, the Trundle could attack, get buffed again, and then kill it on the next turn. But as far as this current turn is concerned, this Lee Sin attack is going to get through. And looks like it's going to kill the Trundle. Yeah.
The gem made it lethal. The Grasp of the Undying not going to save him, and lmag actually finds all of the protection necessary, eventually sneaks through that Lee Sin win. Only took literally every protection spell in the deck and one from outside.
Yeah, and wow, lmag going to take that home there with a Lee Sin. Wow, Targon deck. That is awesome. And now I'm kind of, seeing that last turn resolve there. It makes sense, right? I mean, even though War Mothers has so many removal options, the way that Lee Sin deck works is you're just setting up, that 13 mana turn with what cards you have. So I think lmag was really smart to not just utilize the 13 mana turn, but also, we saw that first deny come out on the turn prior to that. And that was able to bait out more mana usage from Ooooozzi and put him outside of being able to use certain options on the next turn. And because of that, lmag's able to get that OTK off on the following turn. So pretty exciting stuff here from lmag.
Now we are going to move into... we're going to go outside of the exciting stuff. What did you want to do with your Noxus? The answer was old-fashioned Frostbite midrange.
Oh, gotta love it. And...
which I do not think is going to be super well paired into Ooooozzi's deck. You're not getting any Reckoning value outside of a Trundle that was not buffed up by an Avaros and Hearthguard and also is not leveled. But typically, we don't see the Frostbite midrange decks do super well into decks that play Ruination.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious that he decided to utilize Noxus in this deck. I would have expected TF Swain to utilize the Noxus here. This seems like one of the underperforming decks as of now. Just, obviously we had the Trifarian Assessor nerf, and this deck overall just seems to be a little less powerful than its glory days pre Call of the Mountain, pre nerf to the Trifarian Assessor. But we'll see if it's able to take on this War Mother's control deck here, which generally speaking, the War Mother's control should have the advantage. But we've seen time and time again, Ash comes out of the woodwork and has some crazy OTK potential.
So this is another thing that's going to help out a lot is this double Avarosan Trapper start. Getting those 1-mana 5/5s down in the early game versus a control deck can be super impactful. It really is going to take a vengeance to take something like that out. We are pretty much already outside of the range of this Grasp of the Undying getting a whole lot of work done. But there is still one more buffed up unit from this Omen Hawk that we haven't seen yet, so it is probably going to be something like a Trifarian Assessor, maybe an Ash. And if it is an Ash, putting it outside of the range of the Grasp is a big deal.
Yeah, and we are going to see the attack go through. Trundle down to 4 health now. lmag going to consider his options. We could see a Hearthguard, and there it is. There is the Hearthguard coming down. And that's really good that on turn 5, lmag is finding things like Hearthguard. If there is one way that lmag wins in this matchup, it's by being the aggressor. And generally, mid-range decks like this can't be quite fast enough to really take down a heavy control deck, but drawing something like Hearthguard early and playing it on curve might be what lmag needs to really take it home.
I think one of the problems that Frostbite midrange has run into as well is just Trundle.
Yeah.
I mean, having this continuous blocker that this 5-attack deck is always just 1 damage shy of killing, and they don't really play Fury of the North anymore ever since that nerf, so not going to have a way to kind of overwhelm that one in combat. And now that the Trundle is leveled, up to 5 attack is going to start picking off your board and just be a consistent threat to you.
Yeah, really the only way, pre-level would be maybe a buffed up Trifarian Glory Seeker. Even now, now the Glory Seeker would have to be buffed by not just Aversion Hearthguard, but also the Omen Hawk. So it's going to be really difficult to get rid of this Trundle on board. We'll see how lmag is going to deal with this. But for now, anyways, pushing through 5 damage this turn.
It's probably going to have to be a Frostbite effect into a Culling Strike. Here we're going to see Troll Chant to save the Hearthguard, but that doesn't do a whole lot. That's really just kind of a -1 out of lmag, card advantage-wise. And I don't know that Hearthguard is necessarily what we wanted to be saving with that. Sure, we went in for the attack so we could push a little bit more damage, but this doesn't look like a great position from lmag, who still hasn't gotten down any of the Yetis. If those are just sort of the next 2 cards, they really could just be clunking up his draws.
Yeah, and notably, we haven't really made any progress towards an Ashe level up. Plus, we also don't see an Ashe on board. So, that's kind of out of the question, right? Anything regarding getting an Ashe down, maybe setting it up for an OTK on the next attack turn, it's just not a thing. It's not going to happen. We're not even close to leveling this Ashe, so I'm not really sure what lmag's game plan is as of yet. But we do see these unspeakable horrors start to come down from Ooooozzi, and not the best 1-drop, but okay, kind of misses on both of those there. He shakes his head, little sad to get those, not gonna lie.
Unspeakable Horror is a wild card to me, because if you get a Solari Priestess, that can completely swing a game.
Oh yeah. Well, and here's my deal when we compare this to Vile Feast too, right? And this is why I think it's just better overall. I do think, again, Vile Feast has its place in some control decks, like you mentioned, but Stygian Onlooker, even as probably one of the worst options you can get, it's still a 2/1. And a token, even though you get it for free, is a 1/1. Like, I feel like I'd still rather have the extra attack with the potential for it to be a 4/1. I think it's just overall a better card than getting a token, but not really what Ooooozzi wants this time.
So, question about Unspeakable Horror. Similarly to how Swiftwing Lancer says create a random elite in hand, but does not specify unit, or does not specify follower to let you not get Garen.
We talked about this.
Can Unspeakable Horror not get spells?
Yeah, we talked about this. I think we decided that it can get itself, but I don't think...
Not even just itself. I don't think I've ever seen it get Pale Cascade.
Oh, that's a good point. Because I was just going to say, I think we agreed that it could get itself, but we haven't actually seen it. So now... got me looking up all these card text, man. It looks like so.
All right, we have some confirmation in chat that it can get spells. I feel like I've seen a lot of Unspeakable Horrors go off, and for it to never get itself, sure, but for it to never get Pale Cascade does stand out to me as odd.
Now, here's my thought though: is Riot did mention, as far as the Celestials are concerned, they are weighted more towards lower end Celestials. So I have a feeling, even though they didn't announce it, maybe they weighted it more towards followers and less towards spells, specifically so that you couldn't get Unspeakable Horror as often, like on it, like itself.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we could be wrong. Again, who really knows how this game works? What even is this game? What are the rules? How do we play?
Yeah, have you ever had someone ask you to teach them to play Runeterra?
I don't want to. I do not want that job.
I mean, just like, have you ever had a friend that's like, oh, can you I know that you're really into Runeterra, can you teach me how to play?
One did, because he does my podcast with me. Why? So for me, it's like, yeah, I'll teach you. Step 1, click the tutorial. Oh yeah. Well, he asked me just because I've played card games for a while. I think he just wanted that insight. But yeah, the tutorial. This game, I think one of the the problems it might have had since its inception is that you do have to have some experience to really understand the finer points of this game. It's a little bit more difficult to understand and pick up than something like Hearthstone, right? There's a lot more complexities. But I think that's why a lot of me and you and a lot of the people that play it like it, because we're competitive card players. Like, we like the complexities. We like the interactions that this game provides.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like a game that's made for card game players. This isn't necessarily something like if someone's like, oh, I've never played a card game before. I don't know that Runeterra is where I'm going to start. I feel like that's one of the things that we have run into is this is something that feels like it's a card gamer's card game. So Ooooozzi setting up for this Atrocity Lethal does still have to respect the Harsh Winds as that mana is still available. Now we're going to see the Ice Quake come out. And if that Troll Chant looked a little bit weird, I think he was just going for the sort of Pale Cascade draw there. I just wanted to get that out as well as set up the Atrocity Lethal. Does still have it available. We're going to see Ash, and that's going to take the Atrocity Lethal off the table as we're probably going to see an open attack out of lmag. And that does mean that this is going to be a 0 attack Trundle.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing, again, I mean, we finally see this Ash come down, which seems good for lmag.
Yeah, we just ruined Nation.
Well, we ruined Nation, especially after this Iceveil Archer, but again, we're so far away from Ash leveling up. I don't think realistically there was a way for lmag to get themselves back in this. It's just...
Well, I don't know that Ooooozzi's in this. He doesn't have any units or a War Mother's Call going.
That is a good point. I mean, it's 4 cards to 4 cards, and we haven't... Okay, wow. So... Perfect example, first off, of why Vile Feast is still a thing. This does provide a blocker for Ooooozzi. It looks like he decided to wait for the other unit to get summoned there first. Is going to still use the Vile Feast, so lmag will be able to push through a little bit of damage. But this is the problem with using Ruination when Ooooozzi used it when you're a control deck. When your opponent still is sitting on a lot of mana, generally speaking, they're going to be able to redevelop, and that's why they're playing into the Ruination, and that's exactly what lmag did, and that's exactly why lmag is still able to push through a solid 8 damage here.
Yeah, so Ooooozzi finds the unit, but it's the worst one in the deck. The only dud, the Wording Stone, and we see a big Assessor on the side of lmag in this sort of attrition matchup. The 2 cards going to be extremely relevant while Ooooozzi struggles to find a top deck. Wording Stone is not going to be enough for this Atrocity, so Ooooozzi really sitting on so few cards. The Vile Feast is borderline useless, the Atrocity is useless. With 2 Hearthguards off, this Grasp of the Undying is also useless. It can only kill Iceveil Archers and Omen Hawks at this point.
This might be, so I might have spoken too soon. We might be experiencing the comeback right now from lmag. If Ooooozzi can't get like a War Mother's or a Ladros or just something, maybe another Ruination. Actually, did he already play 2 Ruinations? I think he did, right?
Yeah. I think he only played 1.
Oh my god, and the Reckoning. Insult to injury. No more units left for Ooooozzi. This might go into a pretty big attack turn. We see the Vengeance here. But if there's more units on the side of lmag, we might see game on this next turn.
Ooh, and Ooooozzi just continuing to draw ramp.
Oh my god, that's so bad. That's so unfortunate. Yeah. So luckily...
A little surprised lmag didn't go for a development there, just because the open attack was not lethal. Oh, never mind, had Captain Farron. That's a good reason to hold back.
Wow, yeah, okay. Well, when you get a Captain Farron, I think you're pretty good to go.
Hearthguard, a couple turns too late and still just shy of lethal.
Gotta love to see, you know, nothing makes me happier, though, than seeing Captain Farron victories. It's just a good card to see hit the field, not gonna lie. I just love to see it. Wow, he even can play all 3 in 1 turn, even with the heal from the Catalyst of Aeons. And lmag gonna take it home with 2 decks that I don't think we really expected to do incredibly well this tournament.
So there is an out for Ooooozzi. If he top decks... Nope, he doesn't have anything, actually.
Wait, I'm confused. Why did we not play both Decimates this turn?
Because we only had 8 mana. Decimate costs 5.
Oh, that... Do you know how many times I still am under the assumption that Decimate costs 4? Oh my god.
So Ooooozzi, I mean, so Ooooozzi didn't go for the Atrocity play when he had it, playing around Harsh Winds, and then also used Trundle's Ice Quake on that turn, so just shuffling away another champion, having the Trundle die next turn. I mean, Ooooozzi, I feel like there were spaces where he could have won that game. Obviously, he could have gone for the Atrocity lethal, and it looks like that would have worked out based on everything that lmag played out for the rest of the game. Might not have had the Harsh Winds available. you know, it was a risk. And when you're down a game, risks are scary, but it looks like Ooooozzi might have had to take it.
All right, and that's going to do it. lmag going to take it 2-0 to Ooooozzi there. So really tough break for Ooooozzi, unfortunately. But as always, everybody, actually, before I get into that, the rest of the week is going to be pretty much all of the sweet action from this Ascent of Targon Qualifier. So make sure you subscribe, turn on that bell so you get notified when those videos go live. And as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope it just works for you, and peace out.